Can you hear me now? Good. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Good. Can you hear me now? Good. Can you hear me now?
That's a throwback line we haven't heard in a while. It's a cell phone moment everyone can relate to, though, when you're not quite sure if the person on the other end is still connected. Can you hear me now? My next guest says those moments happen in relationships, too. So we're sharing ways to help couples stay in sync and in love. Studio 5 relationship coach Dr. Matt Townsend is joining me. Every time I say in sync,
yeah,
I think of the boy band.
I know you do. Well, that's just where your head is.
Every time I talk to you, I think of the boy band. No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. How big of a problem is this with couples?
It's huge. Can you hear me now? How many times have you talked to Mark hypothetically?
Sure.
And said, "Can you hear me now, Mark?
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now?" It's the bars, right? So, isn't it interesting that you know when you're not getting reception, right?
Yeah.
But in reality, sometimes we don't. We'll even keep talking, even though we don't have reception. And some of us keep living a marriage, even though we're not connected. Even though we have no bars, we keep living as if we do. Do you know how many times I've had couples come in and the wife is done and the guy's like, "What?
What happened?
What is it? We are doing great."
Really?
We have to know where we are in the relationship, and we're going to give you some tools, some rules, some keys to make it through that. And the first key is you got to count the bars to your connectivity.
With this metaphor, what do the bars represent then in a marriage?
Like on your cell phone, how many bars of reception do you have?
How tuned in am I?
Yeah, how much reception are you receiving? How much connection to the other person do you have? Are you just one bar? Are you no bars? Are you 5 bars? And so I want couples to learn to have some metric with each other, and we all get the cell phone. How many bars do you have? I only have 1 bar. If I could talk to my wife and she could say, I feel like we're about 3 bars of connection. How cool would it be to actually now know, oh, we're 3 bars. Okay, what can we do to pick that up? But what if she's 1 bar today? What could we do to pick that game up? I want us to start to measure connectivity in our relationship. Are we there? Are we connected? Instead of assuming we are because we're in the same space.
Yeah, just because we're married, just because we're living together doesn't mean that connection is always there. So if we find ourselves in 1 bar land, how do we identify what the interference is, so to speak?
There's always going to be interference. And the funny thing about the interference is you know what it is because it's the thing you're doing instead of being with your spouse.
Like what?
It could be watching Downton Abbey.
Hey.
Hypothetically.
Hey.
Unless we're doing it together, of course. It could be anything that takes you away. It could be your job, your profession. It could be your purposes aren't together. It could simply be the fact that you have people around you that kind of take your attention. The kids, in-laws, family, friends.
Okay, but you say people know what the interference is, yet you just said men land in your office and say, I don't know what's happening. Do they really know if they were to be honest about it?
I think if you sat down and asked them, what is keeping you from connecting to your spouse, you will and you make them think, and they get present and they actually start counting the bars, yeah, they know. The funny thing is we kind of just think it's working because we keep living, life keeps happening, but in reality, there's a ton of interference. And one of the biggest things is none of the interference is usually new or unique. Every relationship, every couple suffers basically the same interference. It's always people, it's always professions, it's always responsibilities, roles that we play. Sometimes it's just ignorance is a major obstacle we have to overcome.
I've heard you mention before, I think it totally applies to this topic rather, that couples sometimes think just because we're married, that communication, that connection should happen naturally.
Yeah.
And you say, no, even the most seasoned couples still have to work at this.
Right, think about it. Everything that seems natural isn't easy. And so, like a la childbirth. So sometimes you have to invest.
Well, what more would you like to tell us about that?
Well, in fact, I've done an entire study on it, and I appreciate you asking me.
No, but it's true. You have to work.
Okay, what is Oprah Winfrey, Warren Buffett, who else? Elon Musk.
I don't know who
What do
that
these
is.
people all have in common? He's the Tesla guy.
Oh, okay.
The incredible engineer, researcher guy investing all the money.
Well, I'm seeing dollar signs for one.
They all have a ton of money. Bill Gates. They also spend a lot of time reading and studying. On average, about 2 hours a day studying. These people are reading and studying, and they're studying what they do.
They're learners.
They're learners. And so one of the things I would love people to do is spend more time investing in learning about your marriage, investing in reading about your marriage. Think about the last marriage book you read, the last relationship book you read, or the last relationship book you made Mark read. Think about the last time we actually invested 2 hours a week or 2 hours a day in something that was important to us. Because if we invest the time and we spend the time learning, it's amazing what will happen. Your skill set will go up. Your ability to read connectivity will go up. It helps you once you're skilled and tooled.
So once we do that, we beef up our toolbox, so to speak. We're in 5-bar land, let's say. The connection is going strong. How can you keep that connection up and maintain it?
Turn on the receivers, right? So it's one thing if we just had more power coming like from our Wi-Fi system. It's another thing if I actually had my receivers on and I was able to receive more information. My wife is constantly telling me how to make the marriage better without telling me. She's constantly giving me ideas of what I could do to serve her right now, but I'm not receiving that information. I could be watching Studio 5 and hearing information that I'm thinking in my head, boy, that would really help so-and-so's marriage, but I never think about how it would help my marriage. Turn on your receivers for your marriage and learn something on Studio 5 that would actually impact your marriage. I have people that go to me and pay money to talk to me every day, and they never do a thing that I say. They don't think they need it, but their wife needs it. What if we all just listened more to learn by receiving more information? There's so many ideas, there's so many articles, there's so much information, and none of us have our receivers on for our marriage. There's a ton of information out there, and if I can just bring more of it in, then I can actually start to use it to serve my wife. I could even take what I learned today. What if every couple just chose one thing a day that they learned that could make the marriage better and shared it? And shared it with your partner. And then let's commit to practicing it and trying it out.
How often should we be testing our signal, so to speak, testing our connection?
I test it every day, and I keep testing it until you get connected. When you're trying to figure out how to get cell coverage, you just keep trying and trying. You might let it go a few minutes, and then you're going to go back and try more. We keep going in the marriage, and we keep practicing connectivity until we get it. Connectivity is a thing we learn. It's not something you necessarily understand and know how to do with somebody. It might be something you've got to learn, but once we get it and we get the feel of what it feels like to be in a deep, profound, connected marriage, game on. You guys can handle anything, you can be anything, you can do anything you want.
I love it. Really inspiring, Matt. Thank you.
Thanks,
hey,
Brooklyn.
Any spots left for your upcoming date night?
Yeah, just a few.
Because
though.
Mark and I took 2. I know that.
I know. And you know what? This is going to be a lot about this connectivity. So if you're struggling and you really wish your partner and you could create a deeper relationship, November 12th is the day. It's Olympus Junior High. If you go to datenightswithmatt.com, enter in Studio 5, bingo, you'll get a discount, and then be there and we'll party. It's
you want to be there. A lot of fun. If you've always wanted to go, this is the time to go.
Yeah.
I'll see you there.
Thanks, Brooklyn.
Thank you, my friend.